The day begins under a clear blue sky, setting a deceptively peaceful scene. At a local post office, the daily grind is about to be interrupted. A man named Lee Xingyun answers a call from the police about suspicious overseas transactions. Unfazed, he calmly explains his bank account holds barely enough for a cheap meal. He then expertly shuts down the scammer by revealing his tragic family history, ending the call. Brushing off the daily annoyance of spam calls, he hears his name being called from behind. A friendly female colleague, with a warm smile, invites him to join the group for lunch. He politely declines, preferring his own meal, and gently refuses her offer to bring him food. While she's called away, Xingyun is already seen in the background, eating his simple lunch alone. Her friends lightly tease her for trying again, noting that he never joins them anyway. His colleagues rationalize his standoffish behavior, aware of his missing father and financial struggles. Xingyun's thoughts drift to an old phone he discovered while cleaning his father's room. The device surprisingly powered on, revealing a mysterious app called Infinite Archive. He couldn't access his father's account, getting locked out by an incorrect password, with no way to recover it. The app then presented a strange offer: the chance to create a brand new account. He eyes the sketchy-looking interface, immediately doubting the software's legitimacy. His attempt to close the pop-up backfires, accidentally registering him as a new user. Suddenly, a blinding light from the phone engulfs him, pulling him into a digital vortex. The world around him dissolves and reforms into a mundane storage room filled with boxes. His uncle casually interrupts the bizarre moment, asking him to run an errand for cigarettes. Back at the post office, his colleague returns to an empty seat, wondering where he could have gone. Xingyun's eyes widen in disbelief as he processes the impossible situation. He's suddenly standing in a completely unfamiliar place, frozen in shock. Looking around, he realizes he's not alone. A crowd of equally confused people fills the spacious room. Panic begins to set in as others voice their confusion, all having been teleported from their daily lives. A young woman speculates they've all been abducted in some kind of mass kidnapping. One man loudly demands answers, his frustration boiling over while Xingyun quietly observes. The man's anger stems from having his personal plans inconveniently interrupted by the strange event. Just as the chaos peaks, every single person's phone chimes with a notification at the exact same time. Xingyun calmly checks his device, his expression serious, as he reads the mysterious message. The message reveals they're trapped in a high-stakes game of werewolf, where failure or escape means death. The crowd murmurs in disbelief, one man voicing the absurdity of being forced to play a party game. A punk with headphones scoffs at the rules, clearly thinking the whole setup is a prank. His amusement turns to defiance, as he rudely dismisses the game and refuses to take part. A calm, well-dressed man coolly suggests that anyone can leave, provided they're not afraid of the consequences. That chilling word hangs in the air, making Xingyun and others turn to look at the speaker. The punk calls their bluff, daring anyone to try and stop him from walking out. He confidently strides towards the exit, mocking the empty threats as he goes. The instant he steps outside, the high-tech collar around his neck activates with a bright light. In a shocking display of power, the collar enforces the rules, and the defiant man is swiftly eliminated. Xingyun stares in stunned silence, the grim reality of their situation splattering across his face. The floor bears the brutal evidence of what happens to those who disobey the game's rules. The remaining players are frozen in terror, the prank, now a horrifyingly real nightmare. His initial shock hardens into a cold, analytical gaze as he understands the deadly stakes. A notification confirms the first casualty, and announces the voting phase has begun with a 1-hour timer. The key players exchange wary glances, each one a potential suspect or victim in this twisted game. The game's objective is made chillingly clear: identify the werewolf among them before it's too late. New rules appear, stating that a tied vote will result in a random execution, raising the pressure. Everyone's attention is drawn to a large clock on the wall. It's ticking, a constant reminder of their deadline. One player panics, realizing that a blind vote is nothing short of a death sentence for an innocent person. A man in a suit tries to take charge, urging everyone to stay calm and look for clues. The group listens, their expressions tense, as they eye each other with distrust. A man with glasses offers a theory, suggesting werewolves tend to lay low and stay quiet. He then immediately singles out the silent Xingyun as a prime example of this behavior. Others quickly agree, finding Xingyun's composed demeanor suspicious and unsettling. Xingyun calmly turns the tables, arguing that a real werewolf would be the first to push for a quick execution. The accuser is left stunned and speechless by the sharp, logical counteraccusation. A pink-haired woman supports Shingun, pointing out that a random vote is a death sentence for a civilian. Another man chimes in angrily, warning against leading the group to a vote without any real evidence. The man with glasses breaks into a cold sweat, realizing his accusation has just backfired spectacularly. A new countdown flashes across their screens, a menacing red timer now set for 19 minutes. The well-dressed man steps forward, calmly offering a suggestion to the tense group. He points out a crucial loophole, explaining that the rules don't explicitly force them to cast a vote. His strategy is clear. If everyone abstains from voting, then nobody has to die. The simple logic immediately wins over some players, who see it as a perfect way out. More people quickly voice their support, eager to latch onto this glimmer of hope. Shingyun, however, remains skeptical, his sharp eyes seeing a potential trap in this seemingly safe plan. He silently questions the strategy, hoping his gut feeling is just him overthinking the situation. Despite the apparent consensus, the players exchange suspicious glances, their fragile alliance already cracking. An uneasy silence falls over the room as they all agree to wait out the clock, each person lost in their own thoughts. The timer hits 0, and a notification declares the voting period is over. A new message flashes on screen, announcing a civilian named Li Tian has been eliminated. The targeted man, Li Tian, finds himself surrounded, his face pale with fear. He desperately pleads for his life, confused as to why their pact to abstain was broken. Before anyone can react, the caller enforces the vote, and he is brutally removed from the game. The remaining players, including the pink-haired woman, watch in stunned horror. Another woman breaks down in tears, overwhelmed by the terrifying turn of events. Shingyun, however, remains stone-faced, his sharp gaze already piecing together what just happened. The voting results are displayed, revealing that while most abstained, one person secretly cast a vote. A furious player points out the traitor. The man with glasses, Chen Jiaji, was the sole voter. The traitor, Chen Jiaji, panics and tries to justify his vote by claiming he was just too scared. An enraged player points an accusing finger, questioning if he was intentionally trying to get someone killed. Chen Jiaji snaps back, yelling that he only did what everyone else was secretly thinking. Shingyun calmly states the cold, hard truth. No one had to die in this round. The rest of the group glares at the isolated Chen Jiaji, their trust completely shattered. Done with the confrontation, Shingyun turns his back on the group and walks away. A new notification welcomes the players to a hotel, outlining the layout of their new prison. The survivors find themselves in a long, modern, hotel corridor, the next phase of the game beginning. Shingyun stops before a door bearing a plaque with his own name, his personal room assigned. He enters a surprisingly luxurious suite, a peaceful sanctuary, in the middle of a death game. He takes in the luxurious room, dryly noting the hotel's morbid sense of art. His solitude is cut short by an unexpected knock at the door. The pink-haired woman is waiting outside, asking to come in for a talk. She stands there with an earnest expression, hoping he'll let her in. Once inside, she makes a direct proposal. They should work together to find the werewolf. Shingyun remains guarded, his sharp gaze questioning her true motives. She explains that without allies, they risk being voted out by the panicked mob, leading him to ask why she picked him. She reveals she chose him for his composure, noting he's the only one who didn't seem pleased by the last elimination. He challenges her trust, asking if she isn't afraid that he could be the werewolf. She admits she's terrified but is betting on her intuition, believing his clear eyes prove he's not a bad person. She admits she's a veteran of these games, confessing she's only survived by luck, and this time feels far more dangerous. Shingyun internally weighs the pros and cons, concluding an alliance is strategically sound, even if she's a potential enemy. He calmly agrees to her proposal, and she looks visibly relieved by his decision to trust her. The scene shifts to a grand dining hall, where all the remaining players are gathered for a tense meal. While Shingyun sits alone, his new ally approaches with a plate of food, taking the first step in their partnership. From across the room, the traitor Chen Jiaji glares at them, seething with resentment over their new alliance. Meanwhile, other players speculate about the werewolf's identity, wondering if they should be looking for a man or a woman. One man confidently dismisses the possibility of a female werewolf, arguing that women wouldn't have the strength for it. In a swift and powerful motion, the The pink-haired woman shatters a large crab leg on the table before her. She then casually offers a piece to Xing-yun, effortlessly disproving the man's sexist theory with a single action. The man who made the sexist comment nervously tries to change the subject, suggesting the werewolf is outnumbered. Xing-yun calmly listens to the man speculate that the game might give the werewolf special abilities for balance. A woman with long brown hair challenges this theory, questioning how he could possibly know the game's mechanics. Xing-yun coolly retorts that it's just speculation, adding that a game like this requires using one's brain. The woman gets defensive, firing back that his anxious response is what's truly suspicious. The well-dressed man steps in to mediate, reminding them that arguing is a waste of precious time. Her attempt to explain herself is cut short as a notification bell chimes, silencing the entire room. A new rule flashes before them. A midnight curfew is now in effect, with elimination as the penalty for being late. One group immediately panics, deciding to raid the kitchen for weapons before heading back to their rooms. As they watch the others scramble, Xing-yun's ally points out that the man leading the charge is acting suspiciously proactive. She questions if his bold leadership will just paint a target on his back for the werewolf. Xing-yun admits it's hard to tell if the man, Yang Cheng, is genuinely helpful or hiding something. Meanwhile, the very man they're discussing, Yang Cheng, calmly enters his assigned hotel room. Once alone, a sinister smile spreads across his face, as he wonders who will be his first victim tonight. The clock strikes midnight, signaling the official start of the werewolf's deadly hunt. In the dead of night, a door handle turns, breaking the eerie silence of the hotel corridor. But inside, Yang Cheng is already waiting, armed with a pistol, and prepared for an intruder. He watches his own door intently, anticipating that someone would come for him. Suddenly, his door is kicked wide open with tremendous force, confirming his suspicions. Yang Cheng instantly retaliates, firing his weapon at the intruder, and declaring he was ready for them. The pistol smokes in his hand, the shot fired into the darkness of the hallway. To his shock, the doorway is empty, his bullets having only struck the far wall. The door suddenly slams shut behind him, sealing him inside his room. A terrifying, shadowy figure with glowing red eyes looms over him from behind. The screen fades to black, implying a brutal and unseen conclusion to the confrontation. As morning arrives, the long tense night finally comes to an end. A new message appears for all to see, confirming Yang Cheng was a civilian, and is now dead. One of the women panics, overwhelmed by the fear that she could be the next victim. Xing-yun theorizes that Yang Cheng was killed first, because he was actively trying to lead the group. He explains it was a strategic move to intimidate the others into submission, and his ally agrees with the chilling logic. One player angrily declares that tears are useless, and they must find the werewolf now. Xing-yun's ally counters that it's an impossible task when the killer could be anyone. A new notification appears, announcing the second voting round with a deadly twist. Abstaining now leads to a random execution. A woman in red panics, realizing their only safe strategy has just been taken away. The well-dressed man grimly notes that the game is now forcing them to turn on each other. Chen Jiaji smirks, goading the others to vote and choose between killing someone or dying themselves. A woman with brown hair glares at him, calling him out for his cold-heartedness after causing the last death. Another player joins in, loudly blaming Chen Jiaji's selfish vote for the previous elimination. A different man lays out a compelling case, pointing out Chen Jiaji's suspicious actions and suggesting he might be the werewolf. Chen Jiaji frantically defends himself, arguing he's too obvious to be the killer, and that they're all forced to vote regardless. A muscular man corners Chen Jiaji, demanding to know why he voted for the last victim. Chen Jiaji sweats profusely, claiming he only voted out of fear and self-preservation. The pink-haired woman turns to Xing-yun, asking for his assessment of the situation. Xing-yun agrees that Chen Jiaji is the obvious suspect, but admits something feels off about the whole setup. A woman with glasses cuts in, reminding them all that time is running out to cast their votes. Cornered and desperate, Chen Jiaji pleads with the group, insisting he's not the werewolf. On a phone screen, a finger hovers over the voting grid, before decisively selecting Chen Jiaji. A hidden player smirks, revealing a chilling satisfaction as their plan falls into place. The results flash on screen. Chen Jiaji, a civilian, has been eliminated, meaning the real killer is still at large. As his collar activates, a horrified Chen Jiaji denies everything. But the group can only watch as the verdict is carried out. The brutal consequence of their vote is made clear as another player is removed from the game. A woman cries out in terror, realizing they've just executed an innocent civilian. The pink-haired woman voices the group's new fear. If he wasn't the killer, then who is? Xingyun immediately confronts the woman who first blamed Chen Jiaji, questioning her motives for steering the vote. The accused woman looks flustered, clearly not expecting to be put on the spot so quickly. He directly accuses her of manipulating everyone into voting for Chen Jiaji. The remaining players watch the exchange, their suspicions shifting to this new potential culprit. She plays the victim, claiming she was just upset and doesn't mind being blamed. She then deflects, arguing that suspecting her is just as baseless as their previous fatal mistake. To save herself, she points the finger at a muscular man, suggesting his strength makes him a more obvious suspect. The muscular man calmly refutes the accusation, questioning the logic that physical strength makes someone a werewolf. He theorizes that a real killer would blend in, form alliances, and simply watch the civilians tear each other apart. Xingyun agrees, pointing out that every baseless accusation only makes the werewolf's job easier. The accused woman, Zhao Mango, suddenly breaks down, overwhelmed by the intense pressure and fear. Another woman steps in to comfort her, offering to escort the distraught player back to her room to rest. The muscular man then suggests they all split up and search for actual evidence to unmask the killer. As a small group heads off to investigate, Xingyun and his allies stay behind, observing the others. His partner immediately questions his motives for targeting Zhao Mengo, curious if he's already found a clue. Xingyun reveals his suspicion, explaining that her expression during the last vote seemed unnaturally composed. He concludes that she appeared far too calculated, as if orchestrating the entire outcome from the very beginning. He realizes her seemingly casual comments are actually calculated moves to sow discord among the players. Xingyun recalls how she subtly planted seeds of doubt earlier, questioning another player's logic. He remembers how easily the group's anger was redirected, leading to an innocent person's demise. His ally warns him that by exposing her, he's just painted a massive target on his own back. Xingyun coolly accepts the risk, confident that if he's attacked, the culprit will be obvious. Later that night, a shadowy presence approaches a door under a menacing red glow. The handle turns slowly, as an unseen figure attempts to enter the room. But inside, Xingyun has already taken precautions, tying the handle shut with a thick rope. He steps back, satisfied with his makeshift security system for the night. The clock strikes 12, and the ominous chime signals that the werewolf's hunt has officially begun. A monstrous claw slashes through the air, its red gem glowing with deadly intent. The bladed weapon moves with terrifying speed, closing in on its unseen target. A dark, shadowy figure completes its grim task under the cover of night. As sunlight breaks through the curtains, a new day begins, bringing with it the night's grim results. Xingyun calmly checks his phone for the morning's inevitable update. The screen confirms another casualty. The muscular man, Sun He, has been eliminated. Xingyun's calm expression falters, surprised that the werewolf targeted Sun He instead of him. A frantic knock on his door suddenly shatters the morning's tense silence. He opens the door to find his ally standing on the other side, looking panicked. She confirms the news, realizing with horror that Sun He's death means their prime suspect is innocent. Xingyun calmly explains that killing Sun He made no strategic sense for the werewolf. His eyes narrow, as he realizes there must have been a hidden, crucial reason for the attack. He grabs his ally's hand, convinced they'll find the answer in the victim's room. They arrive to find the grim, silent aftermath of the previous night's hunt. His partner theorizes that Sun He must have discovered something vital about the werewolf. Xingyun agrees, suggesting they split up and search the room for any potential clues. The two immediately begin a thorough search of the victim's personal space. Time ticks by relentlessly as their investigation continues, with no immediate results. She notes that the room seems completely ordinary, with no obvious clues to be found. Exhausted and frustrated, she takes a break while Xingyun tirelessly continues the search alone. His ally suddenly stops, a look of confusion crossing her face as she notices something. She picks up a small rabbit statue, pointing out that the decoration in her own room was a sheep. Xingyun's eyes lock onto the figurine as a sudden, critical realization dawns on him. He announces he's figured out the werewolf's pattern, and rushes off to the first victim's room. Just then, a menacing notification flashes, announcing the start of the next voting round. The remaining survivors gather once more, the tension thicker and more desperate than ever. Two women voice their panic, completely lost on who to vote for this time around. A man steps forward, claiming he's investigated every room, and discovered a vital clue. The others immediately press him for details, desperate for any solid lead. But the woman Xingyun previously suspected angrily confronts the man, accusing him of breaking into their rooms. The pink-haired woman coolly denies the man's claim, her expression unbothered. She then turns the tables, pointing an accusing finger at the woman who started the argument. The accused woman, Zhao Mengo, is left completely stunned by the sudden accusation. She desperately tries to defend herself, insisting there's no way she could be the killer. But Xingyun's ally just smirks, calmly telling her to wait for the explanation. Xingyun steps forward, revealing their investigation uncovered a unique animal statue in every player's room. He holds up a white rabbit figurine, confirming it was the one found in the last victim's room. His partner then lists off their own statues, a sheep for her, and a snake for Xing. The remaining players are still confused, failing to see how these decorations connect to the werewolf. His ally finally drops the bombshell, revealing the werewolf is killing, according to the order of the Chinese zodiac. He lays out the evidence, showing how each victim corresponds to a specific animal in the zodiac sequence. The accused woman, Zhao Mengo, smirks, realizing her deadly pattern has been exposed. She nervously confesses to having a pig statue, claiming she only hid it to protect herself. Xingyun's ally immediately calls her bluff, demanding she prove it by showing them the statue. Zhao Menguo panics, refusing to cooperate, and accusing them of trying to set a trap for her. She desperately tries to manipulate the woman she comforted earlier, appealing to their supposed bond. The woman recoils in fear, refusing to fall for the blatant emotional manipulation. Her former friend denies her plea, now completely distrustful and scared of her. Cornered and exposed, Zhao Mengo pulls out a knife, her true, dangerous nature finally revealed. As the voting begins, a finger has already decisively cast a vote against the now unmasked werewolf. She desperately tries to stall, promising to retrieve the statue as proof of her innocence. But on the screen, the votes against her are already climbing rapidly. Her pleas grow more frantic as she realizes her time has completely run out. A notification confirms her elimination, leaving her defeated on the floor in disbelief. She cries out that the game was rigged, giving her no chance to win against so many players. Xingyun's ally coldly refutes this, explaining the werewolf's advantage was the power to hunt unopposed at night. She points out that the werewolf could have discovered the zodiac pattern by simply paying attention. Had she been smarter, she could have used that knowledge to manipulate the group and win. With a confident smile, the ally notes that the werewolf's lack of observation was her ultimate downfall. A hand grips a metal weapon, signaling the final, grim enforcement of the game's rules. In a final, desperate act, the cornered werewolf threatens to take everyone down with her. One of the remaining men urgently tells the others to flee from the impending danger. The survivors scatter in a panic, desperately trying to escape the werewolf's final rampage. Xingyun shoves his ally to safety, putting himself directly in the path of a deadly attack. He stumbles to the ground, wounded after taking the blow that was meant for her. She rushes to his side, cradling him as he collapses from the severe injury. The werewolf glares down at them, blaming the pair for her defeat, and vowing revenge. But her time is up, as the collar around her neck begins to glow, signaling the end. Her face contorts in terror, as she begs for a reprieve that will never come. In a flash of light, the game's rules are enforced, and the werewolf is permanently removed. The survivors stand amidst the grim aftermath, with Xingyun bleeding on the floor. He clutches his side, the intense pain of his injury clearly written on his face. Suddenly, a message declares their victory, announcing the deadly game is finally over. His ally leans in, offering a final piece of advice before they part ways. A gentle hand covers his eyes, and the world around him dissolves into a blinding light. He snaps back to reality, finding himself right back in the post office storage room. Checking himself over, he's stunned to find his fatal wound has completely vanished. He realizes that despite the days spent in the game, only a few minutes have passed in his world. A new notification from the Infinite Archive app confirms he's received his reward points. But as he checks the account, he's shocked to see his missing father's name on the player profile. He realizes the profile is wrong. It's his, but everything is listed as an inheritance in progress. The word inheritance makes him question the connection between his father's disappearance and this deadly game. Just then, a friend request from his pink-haired ally, Neo Ganging, pops up on his screen. Without much hesitation, he accepts her request to connect within the game's system. She immediately messages him, checking in on his wound and his well-being. His first instinct is to call her out, typing that he knows she's not a rookie player. A wave of suspicion hits him as he concludes she must have approached him with a hidden agenda. He deletes his accusation and instead probes her, asking how she was so sure he was a good person, to which she replies playfully. Back in her own room, she smiles, deciding to keep her methods a secret for now. The app on her phone then reveals a special function, asking whose information she wants to investigate tonight. She sends a final message, hinting at a future team-up, and telling him to check the app's forums and store. Xingyun reads her cryptic message, intrigued by her mention of something big. Taking her advice, he navigates the app and taps on the community forum icon. The forum is a bustling hub of player activity, with posts ranging from trading to strategy guides. His attention is drawn to a highlighted post offering essential tips for new players. He reads the guide, learning about game levels, entry methods, and a strict 7-day deadline to play or be eliminated. The rules make him realize his own entry was abnormal, leading him to question if it was a system glitch. He worries about his father's fate under the 7-day rule, but finds hope in the inheritance status on his profile. Believing the game holds answers, he opens the points store, and a holographic menu materializes before him. He scoffs at the meager items he can afford, only to be interrupted by his uncle's voice from behind. Xingyun flinches, startled by the sudden interruption from his real world. His friendly colleague appears, questioning his quick return from a dinner he never went to. She explains she was looking for their uncle, and notes that Xingyun was nowhere to be found, just moments before. Her suspicion grows, as she points out he couldn't have returned from outside without her seeing him. She remarks on his sudden appearance, making him sweat under the unexpected scrutiny. He quickly deflects, covering his impossible return by claiming he was just in the restroom. His colleague seems to buy the excuse, turning away to get back to her work. He watches her walk off, relieved to have avoided any more questions about his brief disappearance. With the immediate danger past, his thoughts return to the mysterious app and the deadly game. The story then shifts to a sprawling, neon-lit cityscape at night, setting a new scene. An elegant woman with moon-themed jewelry learns that a long-dormant account has just been activated. From her high-rise office overlooking the city, she issues a simple, chilling command to find him. Under a sky crackling with lightning, her formidable subordinates unanimously accept their new mission. The scene shifts to a rundown neighborhood, where the morning call of a street vendor cuts through the city air. A young man with blue hair casually orders a set of pancakes, a moment of normalcy about to be broken. The rhythmic stomp of heavy boots on pavement signals the abrupt arrival of an organized force. He turns to see a squad of armored soldiers marching by, questioning why they're so far from their own district. The vendor calmly reveals that people from all 12 districts have been pouring into their area. He hands over the food, speculating that the chaos is due to their own district's leader having vanished. A nearby radio broadcasts the official story, a joint effort to develop the neglected District 13. He scoffs at the news, questioning what's even worth investing in their chaotic district. A map reveals a strict hierarchy, with District 1 ruling over specialized districts, leaving District 13 with nothing but disorder. He asks about the missing District 7, only to learn it was absorbed by the ruling district long ago. The vendor then tries to upsell him on a ridiculously priced supreme pancake. Despite the steep price, he pays for the pancake, his expression unimpressed. His breakfast is interrupted by an incoming call from his class monitor. She urges him not to be late for the campus job fair, and he assures her he's on his way. Arriving on campus, he's surprised to see so many companies actively recruiting. A group of friends spots him from a distance, and eagerly waves him over. They explain the unusual turnout is because a powerful group from District 9 is scouting for talent. His friend explains this isn't just any company. It's directly linked to the powerful leader of District 9. He adds that the entry requirements are so high that no one has even passed the initial screening. A smug rival appears, boasting that he already qualified for an interview, and mocks the blue-haired man's humble job. His friend tries to defend him, pointing out his professional skills, but the man remains unfazed. The rival flaunts his job offer, condescendingly telling them they're destined to be nothing more than stepping stones. The friend fires back that he only got in through connections, but the rival shamelessly owns it. An imposing manager steps in, ordering them to stop causing a scene at the recruitment fair. The rival immediately shifts the blame, accusing the blue-haired man of slandering the company. Sensing trouble, his friend wisely suggests they make a quick exit before things get worse. But the manager stops them in their tracks, his sharp gaze fixed on the group. The blue-haired man looks on with a serious expression, wondering what the manager wants. To everyone's shock, the manager addresses him as Lee Xingyun and offers him a position in the powerful Little Bull group. His friends stare in stunned silence, completely baffled by the unexpected job offer. The smug rival furiously objects, arguing that Xingyun is too low class to be worthy of their company. The manager calmly asks for the rival's opinion, who demands Xingyun be blacklisted from all future employment. With a grim expression, the manager seems to agree that troublemakers deserve to be blacklisted. But in a shocking twist, he orders his men to blacklist the rival instead, revoking his interview and issuing a stark warning. The rival collapses in disbelief, desperately trying to shift the blame back onto Xingyun. Unmoved, the manager coldly orders his subordinates to remove the disgraced student. Two men drag the rival away, as he begs for mercy, terrified of what his father will do. The manager humbly apologizes and presents Xingyun with an official interview invitation. The other students buzz with speculation, convinced Xingyun has been hiding his powerful background all along. As Xingyun tries to process the offer, the manager graciously tells him to take his time to decide. The manager's team departs, leaving Xingyun to contemplate the bizarre turn of events. Looking at the company brochure, Xingyun feels a strange sense of familiarity with the chairman's face. He's shocked to see the chairman is the calm, well-dressed man from the Deadly Werewolf game. His classmates immediately swarm him, hoping to ride his coattails to success. Just then, his phone buzzes, interrupting the sudden shift in his social status. He sees an urgent message from his game ally, Neo Jenging, telling him to return immediately. The scene cuts to a humble apartment complex, setting the stage for his return home. Back in his apartment, Xingyun immediately questions his ally about her connection to the Little Bull group. She casually reveals the chairman is her father, confirming the well-dressed man from the game is her dad. He's taken aback, as she playfully suggests her family was just vetting her secret boyfriend. The scene reveals she's texting from a lavish, modern apartment, a world away from his own. Cuddling a giant teddy bear, she cheerfully announces it's time to talk business. She proposes they team up for a high-value game, but Xingyun remains wary of her intentions. She argues that since he has to play anyway, teaming up with her is the most logical choice. She sweetens the deal with inside info on a beginner dungeon with a huge payout, hitting him right where it hurts. He knows earning points is crucial for survival, but his gut tells him she's not revealing the whole story. Despite his suspicions, he agrees to her proposal, deciding the potential reward outweighs the risk. He receives an official game invitation from the Infinite Archive app, his expression serious. The details are revealed. A beginner-level survival game with a terrifying 65% death rate. He's stunned to see the game starts today, questioning the absurdly high stakes for a beginner mission. His phone suddenly glows, announcing his immediate transport to the game. He instinctively braces himself against his desk, as the digital pull begins. He defiantly resists the system's instructions, clearly annoyed by the lack of control. Once again, he's pulled into a digital void, filled with glowing data streams. His ally, Neo Jenging, is already there, greeting him with a casual wave. He finds himself in a pre-game lobby with other players, a new experience for him. He sizes up the other participants, a mix of seemingly calm and experienced players. Xingyun quickly realizes that most players, like his ally, entered the game with pre-formed teams. A system message announces the map is generating, preparing to transport them to the dungeon. A massive digital gateway materializes before them, marking the official start of the game. With tense expressions, the assembled players brace themselves for the unknown challenge ahead. One player takes the first step into the new world, their foot landing on soft, warm sand. They find themselves transported to a bright, sunny beach, a deceptively peaceful setting. Xingyun's eyes widen in surprise, completely caught off guard by the tropical environment. The group stands on the shore, taking in the vast, unfamiliar seaside landscape. An overhead view reveals they're all standing on a large, circular metal plate, embedded in the beach. The game's brutal rules are announced. Survive for 6 days, with only the last 5 players receiving rewards. Shin Yun's expression hardens as he realizes this survival game is a ruthless free. A new message announces the arrival of Day 1 supplies, dropped right in the center of the players. A 3-second countdown flashes before them, signaling the immediate start of the deadly competition. One player's eyes narrow with predatory intent, ready to claim the supplies at any cost. Other teams brace themselves, their faces grim, as they prepare for the inevitable conflict. Xingyun gives a final, calculating look over his shoulder, sizing up the desperate players around him. The countdown hits 0, and the game officially begins with a blood-red announcement. Instantly, the players descend into chaos, scrambling and fighting over the limited supply boxes. But his ally grabs his hand, urgently telling him to run and avoid the initial bloodbath. She pulls him away from the fight, explaining that the seemingly helpful supplies are nothing but a deadly trap. Another team watches them run, deciding to follow their example and escape the fray. Back in the chaos, one ruthless player already stands victorious, a supply box in hand and his foot on a fallen rival. Two women look on in horror at the brutal scene, realizing they need to flee immediately. The victor smirks, already confident that Xingyun and his ally have nowhere left to run. But his defeated opponent makes a last desperate grab, refusing to let go of the stolen package. The victor's expression darkens, annoyed by the man's stubborn refusal to accept defeat. With glowing red eyes, he prepares to deliver a final, decisive blow, to end the struggle. A swift and forceful impact demonstrates the brutal consequences of defiance in this game. He looks down at the grim outcome with a chillingly calm and satisfied expression. The defeated man's grip finally loosens, his fight for survival coming to an abrupt end. The victor calmly notes there are 2 more supply packages left to claim. Suddenly, a red flare streaks into the sky from deep within the island's forest. The flare detonates high above the trees, marking a specific location with a cloud of smoke. A system notification confirms the first casualty of the supply drop, a player named Deng Qi. Hearing the distant explosion, Xingyun and his ally continue their escape into the woods. They pause for a moment, looking back toward the beach with concerned expressions. Peeking through the foliage, they discover a mysterious clearing with an ancient stone circle. Meanwhile, one of the female players desperately pleads with the ruthless victor for mercy. He places a hand on her head as she begs him to spare her, her eyes squeezed shut in fear. A sinister smile spreads across his face, his glowing eyes revealing his cruel intentions. He asserts his dominance over the terrified woman, her expression a mix of fear and humiliation. She trembles under his unsettling touch, clearly powerless against him. The ruthless player savors his victory, enjoying the fear he inspires in others. A new group of players approaches, attempting to flatter the victor, to get on his good side. He coldly dismisses their praise, his arm still around the captive woman. Undeterred, the men offer their complete loyalty, promising to do anything for his protection. More players quickly join in, desperate to ally themselves with the strongest person on the beach. A sly, calculating smile spreads across his face as he considers their desperate offer. He issues a chilling command, demanding they hunt down and eliminate another player to prove their worth. The group is left speechless, shocked by the brutal loyalty test they've just been given. The group recoils in horror, realizing the brutal test means taking another person's life. The victor glares at them, threatening that their hesitation will only lead to their own demise. A notification congratulates the 5 players who secured supply packages, while offering false hope to the losers. The remaining players, including Xingyun and his ally, check their devices for the latest update. The system reveals multiple strongholds are hidden across the island, urging them to explore. A young woman looks on with a startled expression, overwhelmed by the game's sudden developments. Every player's phone projects a holographic map, highlighting a villa as a key location. The ruthless leader dismisses his new followers, ordering them to prove their worth by securing more supplies. With a smug grin, he announces his intention to head for the villa, dragging his captive along. Xingyun's ally observes the growing faction, wisely suggesting they avoid a direct confrontation for now. As they venture deeper into the forest, Xingyun suddenly signals for silence, sensing they're not alone. A distinct rustling from the nearby bushes confirms his suspicion that someone is watching them. With a sharp glare, he calls out into the trees, demanding the hidden person show themselves. A nervous man emerges with his hands up, insisting he was only hiding and not spying on them. As the pair turns to leave, the man desperately calls out, asking to join their group. He boasts about his survival skills, but Xingyun's ally immediately shuts down his offer. The man persists, arguing that with 5 reward slots, it makes sense for them to team up. 2 more players appear, backing him up and trying to convince the pair that there's strength in numbers. Annoyed by the constant pleading, the pink-haired woman reluctantly allows them to follow, but warns them to keep their distance. The man eagerly agrees, a subtle, calculating look crossing his face as he joins their group. The newly formed, uneasy trio ventures deeper into the island's woods. The new follower observes that the forest is barren, offering no food or fresh water. Xingyun's hand hits an invisible barrier, revealing the game has walled them in. He realizes they're trapped, completely dependent on the daily supply drops for survival. Xingyun grimly concludes, the game is engineered to force a brutal competition for resources. His ally kicks a stone in frustration, questioning how they can possibly challenge the villainous faction. Her powerful kick shatters the ground, revealing a hidden structure beneath the surface. A stone staircase is uncovered, and a notification congratulates them on finding a secret tunnel. The others are left stunned by the completely accidental discovery. She playfully takes all the credit for her lucky find, much to Xingyun's bemusement. Xingwen speculates that the island has more hidden locations than just the villa. His ally eagerly volunteers to be the first to explore the mysterious new passage. He quickly stops her, warning that her haste could lead them straight into a trap. Their investigation is cut short by the sound of a massive explosion in the distance. The pair looks up in shock, realizing another player has just been eliminated from the game. Elsewhere, the ruthless leader's new followers have cornered a lone woman with a supply box. The man leading the attack shifts the blame, claiming their leader forced them to do this as the woman pleads for her life. Terrified, she offers them the package, begging them to spare her in exchange for the supplies. One of the followers hesitates, suggesting they just take the box and leave her alone. But the leader furiously rejects the idea, arguing they need their powerful allies' favor more than they need to show mercy. He justifies the grim task, arguing it's better they do it themselves to win favor with their new leader. His partner hesitates, but another player reminds him that in this game, it's every man for himself. A hand falls limp, signaling the end of one player's desperate struggle. With a determined look, the leader swings his weapon down on the cornered woman. She recoils in terror as the brutal attack connects, sealing her fate. The woman is left defeated on the ground, the grim reality of the game setting in. From the dirt, she makes one last, desperate plea for mercy. The leader then passes the weapon to his partner, demanding he also participate to prove his loyalty. The hesitant man's expression darkens, his moral conflict giving way to cold resolve. He finally commits the grim act, solidifying his place in the ruthless new faction. The leader of the group smirks, complimenting his follower on a job well done. He then turns his attention to the other hesitant members, declaring it's their turn to prove their loyalty. A brutal impact is shown, demonstrating the grim reality of their loyalty test. The weapon connects with its target, sealing the fate of the unfortunate player. The leader now singles out a woman, coldly telling her to finish the job since the victim is already done for. When another man hesitates, the leader angrily accuses him of false righteousness. The chosen woman trembles, unable to bring herself to commit the final, brutal act. A different follower coldly urges her to get it over with, framing it as an act of mercy. On the ground, the defeated woman makes one last, desperate plea for her life. The woman with the weapon looks on, her face a mask of terror and moral conflict. Driven by self-preservation, the woman brings her weapon down, justifying the grim act as the victim's bad luck. The brutal consequence of her choice is left starkly against a nearby tree. A distant explosion confirms another player has been officially eliminated from the game. Meanwhile, a different team assesses the situation, realizing the ruthless leader is quickly consolidating power. Their leader deduces that everyone who stayed on the beach will likely fall in line with the new tyrant. He strategizes that their best bet is to ally with Xingyun's duo, but survival must come first. Taking command, the leader orders one of his teammates to scout the perimeter of their new campsite. He then delegates tasks, sending another to forage while he prepares their temporary base. His subordinate accepts the orders without question, placing his trust in their leader's plan. The leader smirks confidently, revealing his group are seasoned veterans with flawless teamwork. His teammates panic over their leader's bold claims, while he remains completely unfazed by the risk. The scene shifts to the luxurious villa, now the base of operations for the ruthless faction. His new followers present the stolen supply package to their leader, hoping for his approval. He scolds them for their inefficiency, but begrudgingly accepts their obedience as a small consolation. The leader gestures for his new subordinates to follow him inside their new stronghold. He coldly informs his captive that her movements are restricted to the main hall. The captive woman Zhaoren looks on with a defeated expression, trapped in her new reality. Tears stream down her face, her spirit completely broken by the ordeal. She recoils in fear, as he dismisses her with a cruel command to leave his sight. He opens the hard-won supply box, only to find it contains nothing but cheap, disappointing rations. The captive woman, Zhaoren, clenches her fist, her expression hardening with a mix of anger and resolve. The leader contemptuously tosses a single packet of biscuits onto the floor for his new followers. The desperate group immediately scrambles on the ground for the meager rations. They look up in stunned silence, realizing the humiliating price of their new allegiance. Lounging on the sofa, he mockingly asks if his generous offering isn't enough for them. One of the men quickly expresses his gratitude, terrified of angering their new leader. A cruel smile spreads across the leader's face, as he tells them to be grateful for his mercy. He pulls Zhaoren close, and issues a chilling warning about guarding the next day's supplies. With his arm firmly around her, he leads his captive away, leaving his subordinates behind. The remaining men are left to divide the few biscuits, their new reality sinking in. One of the followers puts a stop to the bickering, asserting control over the humiliated group. The next morning, a fleet of drones flies over the island, dropping the day's supply packages. Xingyun's group immediately spots the incoming supplies, realizing the competition is about to start again. Elsewhere, the veteran team also takes notice, their expressions serious as they plan their next move. Xingyun watches the packages descend, already calculating the best way to secure one without a fight. He and his ally immediately break into a run, determined to get a head start on the other players. The group pauses for a moment, trying to decide which of the scattered packages to pursue. His partner makes a quick decision, pointing towards a lone package falling away from the others. The targeted supply box tumbles through the air, a prize waiting for the fastest team. Meanwhile, another pair of players has already found a box, discovering a valuable weapon inside. One of the men excitedly believes their new dagger will earn them more food from their leader. His partner grips the weapon with a sinister smile, feeling a surge of confidence and power. From the cover of the dense foliage, a hand signals that they are being watched. The armed duo spots Xingyun's group hiding in the distance, recognizing them as competition. Xingyun's ally is taken aback, realizing their rivals have already secured a weapon. Their new follower panics, suggesting they retreat now that the other team is armed. Xingyun argues, they must seize the weapon now before the other factions become too powerful to challenge. He hatches a plan, ordering their follower to create a diversion, but the man nervously refuses. Ganging applies pressure, threatening to abandon him, which quickly forces his cooperation. The reluctant follower sneaks into the bushes to begin the distraction, as Ganging watches him go. Xingyun picks up a small rock, preparing to set their plan in motion. He tosses the stone, as Ganging asserts, their reluctant ally has no choice but to follow orders. The rock hits its mark, causing the follower to cry out, and draw unwanted attention. The armed duo immediately turns, demanding to know who's hiding in the trees. The follower claps a hand over his mouth, realizing his mistake has exposed his position. He cautiously peeks through the foliage, hoping he hasn't been spotted. The armed men scan the area, momentarily confused when they can't find the source of the noise. But a hand suddenly clamps down on the follower's shoulder, revealing he was never truly hidden. One of the rivals smirks, having successfully flanked and captured their terrified decoy. He brandishes his new weapon, his menacing expression making his deadly intentions perfectly clear. A perfectly aimed rock smacks the rival's wrist, forcing him to drop the weapon. The dagger falls from his grasp, embedding itself harmlessly in the grassy ground. His partner whirls around, enraged that someone dared to interfere with their hunt. Xingyun emerges from the foliage, hoisting a large stone, and ready to bring it down. Seeing his chance, the terrified decoy scrambles away, wisely choosing to retreat. The rival clutches his head, reeling from the painful impact of Xingyun's surprise attack. He pulls his hand away to reveal the grim, crimson consequence of the blow. Fueled by rage, the wounded man charges forward, determined to make Xingyun pay. He throws a wild, powerful punch, aiming to end the fight in a single move. But Xingyun effortlessly dodges the clumsy attack and lands a solid counterpunch of his own. Xingyun seizes his opponent by the neck, instantly gaining the upper hand in the struggle. With a cold, focused glare, he shows no sign of backing down from the confrontation. The larger man struggles in his grip, boasting that his size makes him a formidable opponent. He desperately calls for his partner to use the dagger and attack Xingyun while he's restrained. The partner hesitates, clearly terrified at the prospect of joining the violent struggle. As Xingyun's grip tightens, the man's face contorts in pain, urging his ally to act faster. Mustering his courage, the hesitant partner finally grips the weapon with deadly resolve. He lunges forward with the dagger, aiming to deliver a decisive blow to but Gangang intercepts with a powerful kick, sending the attacker reeling before he can land the hit. The weapon clatters to the ground, disarmed and neutralized by her swift intervention. The restrained man glares, furious at his partner's complete incompetence. Xingyun delivers a swift knee to his opponent's gut, decisively ending the struggle. The larger man doubles over, completely incapacitated by the powerful blow. With the fight won, Xingyun calmly retrieves the fallen dagger from the ground. His defeated opponent looks up in sheer terror, realizing the tables have completely turned. Now armed, Xingyun stands over his rival with a cold, unyielding expression. The second man watches in disbelief, his eyes wide with fear and shock. He stares at his fallen partner, unable to comprehend how they were so easily overpowered. Xingyun glances back at the remaining rival, his cold gaze a clear and silent warning. The terrified man begs for his life, but Xingyun dismisses him with a single, curt command to leave. The terrified man scrambles away, leaving Xingyun in control of the clearing. Holding the dagger, Xingyun feels an unsettling sensation, his expression darkening with the weight of the weapon. His ally checks on him, and he reassures her he's fine, though his look says otherwise. She playfully praises his skills, but he brushes off the compliment, still focused on the situation. Their cowardly follower emerges from the bushes, cheering as if he contributed to the victory. Gangang immediately calls him out, furious that he hid while they risked their lives. He nervously defends his inaction, claiming he was just afraid of being a liability in a fight. Xingyun calmly intervenes, placing a hand on his ally's shoulder to de-escalate the argument. He then gives their follower a chilling look, making it clear that such cowardice won't be tolerated again. With the confrontation over, Xingyun retrieves the supply box and orders the group back to their hidden tunnel. The deceptively peaceful forest hides more than just trees. As the duo walks away, their follower scrambles to keep up, begging them not to leave him behind. But from the cover of the foliage, another pair of eyes watches their every move. The veteran team's leader warns his group that Xingyun is just as dangerous as the island's tyrant. He notes that Xingyun saw them but walked away, a clear sign he's avoiding unnecessary conflict. His subordinate suggests an alliance, but the leader wisely decides to wait and observe for now. Back at the villa, the ruthless leader relaxes with his captive, enjoying his position of power. His moment is interrupted when the man who fled from Xingyun bursts in with grim news. The other followers are stunned to learn that their teammate has been eliminated by Xingyun's group. Unconcerned about his fallen man, the leader's first question is about the fate of the supply package. The terrified man explains, he fled without the package, after Xingyun's group took out his partner. The ruthless leader rises to his feet, his shadow looming over the failed subordinate. He seizes the man by the face, questioning the point of his return without the supplies. His grip tightens menacingly, silencing the man's desperate pleas for mercy. The leader's face contorts with rage, his tolerance for failure completely exhausted. Cracking his knuckles, he issues a final, chilling warning about the price of incompetence. He turns away, coldly informing his followers that their survival depends entirely on their obedience. The remaining subordinates recoil in fear, finally grasping the brutal reality of their alliance. A cruel grin spreads across his face as he declares it's time to hunt down the remaining mice. Meanwhile, Xingyun's trio continues their trek through the woods, oblivious to the danger closing in. Their follower checks his phone, his face draining of color, as he learns another player has been eliminated. He panics, unable to understand how someone who joined the ruthless leader's faction could have been killed. Xingyun calmly theorizes that the ruthless leader himself is the most likely culprit for his own subordinate's demise. Overwhelmed by fear, the follower desperately suggests, They find a place to hide and wait out the rest of the game. Xingyun shuts down that plan, reminding him that hiding won't work when the game demands only 5 survivors. The follower quietly laments, not hiding alone from the start, but Genghis catches his suspicious muttering. He quickly plays it off with a nervous laugh, awkwardly trying to shift the conversation to their evening arrangements. Xingyun makes the final call, deciding they'll rest for the night and tackle the mysterious tunnel in the morning. Genghis pouts, but ultimately accepts his sensible decision to conserve their strength. He then sets up a night watch, assigning the first shift to their cowardly, but now necessary teammate. The follower immediately tries to weasel out of his duty, claiming he's too frail for night watch. Genghis sees right through his act, shutting down his excuse and ordering him to take his turn. He continues his pathetic plea, insisting his poor health would only make him a liability. Later that night, the trio sits around a campfire, an uneasy truce settling over their camp. As Xingyun rests against a large rock, he drifts into an uneasy sleep. He's suddenly transported to a strange, ethereal dimension, completely disoriented. A cryptic system message flashes around him, announcing a game activation and a mysterious fusion. An intense wave of pain hits him as the system's data floods his mind. He jolts awake with a gasp, clutching his chest as he returns to the real world. Genghis whips around with a sharp glare, sensing the disturbance and demanding to know who's there. He reassures his ally that he's fine, though he's clearly disoriented from the strange experience. She questions if he just had a nightmare, concerned by his sudden and pained awakening. But he's stunned to discover his vision has been enhanced, his eyes glowing with a strange new power. His sight now works like a digital scanner, allowing him to see the forest in incredible detail. He also realizes his hearing is now sharp enough to pick up the faintest sounds from a distance. Genghis grows impatient with his silence, waving a hand in his face to get his attention. His intense focus is broken, his expression shifting as he's pulled back to the present moment. In a burst of newfound agility, he leaps effortlessly to the top of the massive boulder behind him. His ally stares in disbelief, completely stunned by his sudden display of superhuman speed. He quickly jumps back down, trying to brush off the incredible feat as just being startled. She leans in close, demanding to know what just happened to make him seem so different. He deflects her probing question, checking the time and announcing it's his turn for night watch. Genghis pouts in annoyance, but decides to drop the subject, letting him keep his secrets for now. Alone with his thoughts, Xingyun realizes his body has been fundamentally altered, with all his senses now superhuman. He tests his newfound strength, effortlessly crushing a solid rock in the palm of his hand. A surge of power confirms his suspicion that these changes are linked to his inherited game account. His player profile reveals his stats, a mysterious bloodline, and a list of powerful but currently unknown items. But system notifications reveal a major catch. His player level is too low to access any of these inherited abilities. He stares at his phone in disbelief, questioning just what kind of player his father truly was. The next morning, Genghis questions his plan to explore the dangerous tunnel alone, while their follower looks on tiredly. He offers his ally the dagger, insisting she take it for her own protection. She refuses, arguing he'll need the weapon more, since he's the one entering the dangerous tunnel. With a confident smile, she assures him she's more capable than she looks, and can handle herself. Trusting her words, he agrees but warns her to stay vigilant while he's gone. Inside the tunnel, he tests the walls by throwing the dagger, which embeds itself in the brick. He cautiously navigates the winding passage, wondering where the mysterious path leads. With his hand on the wall for guidance, he ventures deeper into the darkness. His eyes widen as he spots a lone supply box, waiting at the end of the corridor. He immediately breaks into a sprint, eager to claim the unexpected reward, but his foot lands squarely on a hidden pressure plate, springing a trap he never saw coming. He stumbles back, as the walls suddenly shift, revealing the trap's hidden mechanism. A hail of arrows erupts from hidden slots, turning the narrow corridor into a death trap. Tapping into his enhanced reflexes, he twists and dodges, narrowly avoiding the deadly projectiles. He stands unscathed, realizing his new bloodline abilities are the only reason he's still alive. A cunning smile forms as he realizes this deadly trap could be turned to his advantage. Outside, the follower grows anxious about the long wait, but Genghis silences his complaints. Their argument is interrupted by the familiar buzz of a drone carrying the day's supplies. The follower points out the incoming package, his hunger overriding his fear. He presses the issue, but Jingging's sharp glare shows she's already weighing the risks. She makes a decision, ordering him to stay put while she retrieves the package alone. The follower waits anxiously, as Gangjing keeps a serious watch over the tunnel entrance. A hand suddenly grips the edge of the hidden passage, signaling a return from the darkness. Xingyun emerges with a supply box, confidently announcing he's brought back provisions for them. His sudden appearance startles both Gangjing and their follower, who weren't expecting him back so soon. She rushes over to him, her expression a mix of relief and concern over his long absence. He playfully teases her, questioning if his well-being was the source of her worry. Flustered, she quickly denies it, claiming she just didn't want to lose her night watch partner. With the reunion over, Xingyun uses his dagger to slice open their hard-earned prize. The box reveals a bounty of food, and the group celebrates their temporary relief from starvation. But Xingyun dampens their spirits, revealing this single box was the only reward in the entire tunnel, reminding them of their grim reality. Their follower eyes his food suspiciously, wondering if Xingyun is holding out on them. Xingyun calls his bluff, daring him to brave the deadly tunnel, which immediately shuts the man up. Gangjing slams her can down, fed up with the freeloader's constant complaints. She leans in, quietly asking Xingyun if he's really telling them everything about his solo mission. He gives her a sly grin, cryptically suggesting there's more to his story than he's letting on. Meanwhile, the veteran team plots from the shadows, their leader declaring they must secure a weapon. He reminds them how Xingyun's crew already gained an advantage by disarming the tyrant's men. The leader anticipates retaliation, knowing the island's tyrant won't take that loss lying down. He rallies his teammates, planning to use the inevitable conflict to their own advantage. As if on cue, a supply drone appears in the sky, signaling the start of the day's hunt. The veteran team's leader moves stealthily through the woods, closing in on his objective. He pushes aside the last of the foliage, revealing his target in a nearby clearing. Elsewhere, two other players catch their breath after a frantic chase for a supply drop. They stand before the newly landed package, eager to claim their reward. One man makes a flimsy excuse to step away, leaving his partner to open the box alone. The betrayer looks back with a cold, impatient glare, waiting for his trap to spring. With a subtle wave of his hand, he gives the signal to his hidden allies. 3 armed men suddenly burst from the trees, charging the unsuspecting player. The lone man is quickly surrounded, his own partner now standing among the ambush. A cruel smile spreads across the betrayer's face as he relishes his successful deception. The betrayed man glares in fury, enraged by his former partner's cruel amusement. Suddenly, a massive log hurtles through the air, aimed directly at the surrounded player. His loyal teammate shoves him to safety, choosing to take the full force of the attack himself. The heavy log connects with a brutal, unstoppable impact. The selfless teammate is slammed hard against a tree, the blow taking him out of the fight. The veteran team's leader steps out, sarcastically praising the man's touching sacrifice. He and his 2 female teammates stand revealed as the masterminds behind the ambush. The original betrayer immediately tries to ally with the powerful new group, offering them the weapon from the supply box. The rescued man ignores them all, desperately trying to wake his fallen friend. The veteran leader approaches the unconscious player, placing a finger on his neck with cold intent. The veteran leader confirms the grim news, leaving the surviving friend to weep over his fallen companion. He then turns to the original ambushers, dismissing them as useless for failing to secure the area properly. With a furious expression, the leader gives a chilling order to eliminate the remaining survivors. The betrayer's group immediately lunges at the grieving man, eager to prove their worth. The veteran leader's female subordinate joins the fray, moving in to assist with the take. The lone survivor is quickly restrained, caught in a powerful hold by one of the attackers. He fights back desperately, landing a solid punch on the female subordinate. He follows up with a swift kick, trying to create an opening to escape the ambush. But his resistance is futile, as his captor tightens his grip, delivering a decisive blow. The veteran leader looks down on the defeated men with contempt, unimpressed by their weakness. The veteran leader sends a massive log flying with a powerful kick, aiming to finish the fight. The remaining survivor desperately tries to evade the incoming projectile. The log connects with its target, resulting in a brutal and decisive impact. The last 2 survivors realize they're outmatched, and decide to flee, vowing not to let their friend's sacrifice be for nothing. As they sprint into the woods, the veteran leader watches them go with a calm, predatory gaze. A sinister smile spreads across his face, clearly intrigued by this new challenge. His subordinate nervously asks if they should give chase to the escaping pair. He scoffs at the idea, pulling out a slingshot with a look of deadly intent. A small, glowing projectile is launched, streaking through the forest at incredible speed. The projectile smashes into its target with immense force, demonstrating the leader's long-range capabilities. The projectile finds its mark, immobilizing one of the fleeing survivors, with a painful impact. He collapses to the forest floor, his desperate escape cut short by the precise attack. His teammates look to him for orders, ready to hunt down the last man standing. But their leader, Wang Yu, calmly dismisses the idea, confident his target is already doomed. The scene shifts back to the entrance of the hidden tunnel, where Xingyun's group is camped. Xingyun's group receives a notification, and he grimly announces another player has been eliminated. Zhang Ying's expression darkens, realizing Wang Yu's faction is growing stronger and more dangerous. A sudden rustle, in the nearby foliage, breaks the tense silence of their camp. Both Xingyun and Zhang Ying whip around, demanding the hidden person reveal themselves. The lone survivor from the ambush emerges, carrying his injured friend, and proposing an alliance. Gang Ying dismisses their offer, pointing out that with one dead and one injured, they're hardly a valuable asset. The man warns them that Wang Yu is 3 times stronger than them, and they stand no chance alone. He reveals Wang Yu is an intermediate player, whose entire body has been physically enhanced. Xingyun is taken aback, unfamiliar with the concept of different player tiers. Gang Ying chides him for not reading the forums, which detail the game's power levels. A system graphic explains the hierarchy, showing intermediate players are 3 times stronger than ordinary people. The next level, senior players, are shown to wield powerful elemental abilities. At the top are the legendary supreme players, who are said to control entire districts within the game. Their cowardly follower is left speechless, completely stunned by the idea of controlling elements. Zhenjing puts it in perspective, explaining it would take 200 games just to afford such a power. The newcomer explains that higher-level players earn points faster, and can even gain unique innate talents. Xingyun clenches his fist, realizing these talents might be connected to the mysterious abilities in his inherited account. Gang Ying remains skeptical, questioning their odds against a powerhouse like Wang Yu, even with new allies. The man tries to build confidence, citing his own experience and his partner's enhanced speed and recovery. He then reveals they have an ace up their sleeve, something they discovered in a hidden base. He presents a vial of bubbling green liquid, revealing their secret weapon is a potent poison. Xingyun points out the obvious flaw in their plan. Getting close enough to an enhanced player to use it is nearly impossible. Deciding it's too late to strategize, Xingyun tells the newcomers to rest and recover their strength for the next day. The man agrees, helping his injured friend find a spot to camp nearby until morning. The scene cuts to an overhead shot of the luxurious villa, reminding everyone of the tyrant's looming presence. Back at the villa, one of the tyrant's followers tries to boost morale, claiming they'll be safe if they just eliminate Xingyun's team. A more cynical man scoffs at her optimism, questioning the naive belief that all 5 of them will be allowed to survive. Another woman joins the debate, reminding them that Xingyun and his allies are not an easy target. One of the younger men retorts defensively, insisting their group isn't as useless as she implies. The woman's expression darkens as she challenges his bravado, questioning if he can guarantee bringing back supplies every day. She delivers a harsh truth, stating they are all nothing more than disposable pawns under their leader's command. Her grim assessment silences the group, the weight of their precarious situation finally sinking in. The scene shifts to a dark, starry night, signaling the end of another tense day on the island. At Xingyun's camp, the newcomer who proposed the alliance rests alone by the fire, leaning against a large tree. He eventually drifts into a deep sleep, the warmth of the fire offering a brief moment of peace. A strange green mist silently spreads through the undergrowth, signaling a new threat. The toxic-looking fog quickly envelops the area, creeping towards the distant campfire. The newcomer, Chen, is jolted awake by a pungent odor, rubbing the sleep from his eyes. Meanwhile, Zhang Ying questions Xingyun's decision to even consider an alliance with the new arrivals. He admits his own reservations, voicing his distrust of the 2 men and their convenient story. Their quiet debate is shattered by a terrified scream echoing from the woods. Without hesitation, the pair sprints towards the commotion, trying to understand the sudden chaos. They find Chen in a panic, realizing the mysterious green mist is actually a deadly poison. The insidious fog continues to billow through the trees, closing in on them all. Seeing them approach, Chen desperately warns them to turn back and run for their lives. Xingyun calmly watches Chen flee, trying to make sense of the sudden chaos. The panicked man explains, the poison mist appeared out of nowhere while he was asleep. An overhead view reveals the toxic fog is spreading from the direction of the villa. Chen's injured companion suddenly stumbles, his legs giving out from under him. Chen catches his friend just before he hits the ground, preventing a worse fall. He tries to help his injured partner, Luo Ying, offering to carry him to safety. But Luo Ying questions their chances, knowing he'll only slow them down. With grim resolve, Luo Ying grabs his friend's arm, making a difficult decision. He forcefully shoves Chen away, pushing him towards a chance at escape. Luo Ying tells him to go on alone, insisting that someone must survive to avenge their fallen teammate. Chen watches in horror, torn by his friend's selfless sacrifice. But Xingyun suddenly grabs the injured man's arm, refusing to leave him behind. With a look of sheer determination, he decides to take matters into his own hands. He effortlessly lifts Luo Ying onto his back, as Zhang Ying urges them to escape the closing mist. Chen watches in stunned silence, as Xingyun sprints past him, carrying the extra weight. He can't believe Xingyun's speed is completely unaffected by carrying another person. Their cowardly follower panics, as their escape route is cut off by a wide river. The entire group comes to a halt at the water's edge, trapped between the poison and the current. Chen stares at the impassable river, his hope of escape quickly fading. The cowardly follower suddenly shows signs of succumbing to the poison, his fear of death palpable. Xingyun quickly devises a risky plan to escape by diving into the river. He stops their panicked follower, explaining they must time their dive perfectly to outlast the poison. As the toxic fog closes in, the group prepares to make their desperate move. Xingyun begins a countdown, his and Jingying's expressions tense with anticipation. Chen holds his injured partner steady, waiting for the final signal to jump. But their cowardly follower loses his nerve, leaping into the water prematurely against orders. The deadly green mist finally reaches the river's edge, seemingly sealing their fate. But the fog suddenly stops, hitting an invisible wall just before the water. Jingying looks on in disbelief, realizing the poison has been mysteriously blocked. The follower who jumped early stares from the river, completely baffled by their sudden and unexpected salvation. Chen deduces the invisible wall and poison mist are game mechanics designed to shrink the playing area. He grimly predicts the mist will continue to spread, forcing everyone into an even smaller zone. Xingyun realizes the game's brutal design is meant to corner them all into a final, inescapable showdown. As the mist settles, a new conflict begins to brew elsewhere in the forest. A different group of players sprints through the woods, clearly fleeing from an unseen threat. One of the women stumbles into a murky trap, desperately pleading for help, as she begins to sink. Her teammates pause, with one woman wanting to help, while a man coldly warns her against the risk. The trapped woman reaches out in despair, her hope fading as she's left to her fate. A powerful force suddenly ripples through the area, signaling a decisive and brutal action. The compassionate teammate ignores the warning, her expression hardening, as she prepares to intervene. The man grimly notes that while the air wall saved them, their teammate was left behind. They turn to see the abandoned woman, trapped on the other side of the invisible barrier. She collapses, the effects of the poison already taking a visible toll on her. With her last bit of strength, she desperately pleads for help from her former allies. Her struggle ends as she lies motionless on the ground, her fate sealed. A system notification announces the final task. The remaining 10 players are now split into 2 teams of 5. The scene reveals one of the new 5-person teams, with a woman in a red skirt, seemingly in charge. A subordinate asks if the poisoned woman is still useful, and their leader confirms she is, as long as she's alive. The leader's cold, calculating gaze reveals he sees his teammates as nothing more than assets. With a cruel smirk, he orders the weakened woman to get up, assigning her the menial task of carrying their supplies. The weakened woman trembles, forced to accept her new, demeaning role. Her leader smirks, already plotting to use the shrinking poison zone to hunt down Xingyun's team. Elsewhere, a hand gently touches a leaf, a brief moment of calm before the next storm. Back at Xingyun's camp, their cowardly follower panics over a nosebleed, convinced he's dying from the poison. Zhang Ying scoffs at his drama, reminding him he was perfectly fine when he was running for his life. Xingyun calmly assesses the situation, concluding the poison is slow-acting and not an immediate threat. Their discussion is cut short by the familiar buzz of a supply drone flying overhead. The leader of the other team spots the incoming package, announcing the start of the day's hunt. The entire group looks up, their expressions hardening as they prepare for the inevitable conflict. Without hesitation, 2 men from the rival team sprint off, determined to claim the prize. Not to be outdone, Xingyun's group also sprints through the foliage, determined to secure the supplies. An overhead view shows the teams racing through the dense forest, each vying for the advantage. Xingyun's team reaches the package first, gathering around to see if it holds weapons or much-needed food. Wasting no time, Xingyun uses his dagger to slice open the cardboard box. Inside, they discover not food, but valuable medical supplies, including 2 healing potions. Xingyun theorizes the potions are likely antidotes, conveniently dropped after the poison mist attack. Their cowardly follower lunges forward, snatching a potion in a desperate bid to cure himself. Without a second thought, he greedily chugs the entire bottle, hoping for immediate relief. But his eyes widen in shock as an unexpected and unpleasant sensation takes hold. His face contorts in agony, realizing the potion was not the cure he so desperately wanted. The group watches in shock as their follower reacts violently to the potion. But his agony quickly turns to ecstasy, as a wave of pure bliss washes over him. The rest of the team is left speechless, completely baffled by his bizarre reaction. Xingyun's sharp gaze reveals he's pieced together the potion's true purpose. He quickly warns the others to leave, sensing the imminent arrival of their rivals. Just as they depart, the rival team's leader arrives, demanding to know where the supplies went. He orders his subordinates to check the discarded box, hoping to find a weapon inside. One of the men cautiously inspects the empty container, confirming their worst fears. He reports back that the box is completely empty, their prize already claimed by another team. The rival leader's face darkens with fury, realizing he's been outmaneuvered. In a fit of rage, the rival leader unleashes a powerful blow, shattering a nearby tree. His subordinates watch in stunned silence, terrified by their leader's raw power. He seethes with anger, vowing that Xingyun's team will pay for their defiance. Meanwhile, Xingyun's newly formed 5-person team regroups in a quiet clearing. The injured man, Luo Ying, is amazed by the healing properties of the bandage, expecting a full recovery soon. With their immediate needs met, the group's focus shifts to their most dangerous threat, Wang Yu. The newcomer, Chen, holds up his vial of poison, suggesting they need an unconventional strategy. The rest of the team listens intently, understanding the gravity of the situation. Chen explains their success has made them a prime target, proposing they lure Wang Yu into a trap. He details his plan to create poisoned arrows, hoping to weaken the enhanced player and level the playing field. Zhang Ging agrees with the plan, adding that the trap's location is critical and they must act fast. As they prepare to gather materials, their cowardly follower suddenly clutches his head, complaining of dizziness. He blames his sudden weakness on his previous injuries, looking genuinely unwell. Xingyun orders him to stay behind and rest, and the man eagerly accepts the chance to avoid work. As the rest of the team walks away, Chen questions Xingyun's decision to keep such a useless burden around. Zhang Ging reveals it was a deliberate move, explaining Xingyun never intended to bring him along for the real mission. The 2 newcomers exchange a look, realizing there's more to Xingyun's leadership than meets the eye. Elsewhere, Wang Yu's team regroups, their expressions grim after their recent failure. Their leader seethes with rage, vowing to personally hunt down and eliminate Xingyun's group. The wind rustles through the trees, signaling the calm before the inevitable storm. Wang Yu's sharp gaze darts towards the trees, as he demands the hidden person reveal themselves. The cowardly follower emerges with his hands up, announcing he has crucial information for their leader. A cruel smile plays on Wang Yu's lips, as he warns the man his life depends on the value of his intel. The traitor immediately sells out his team, revealing their entire plan to use poisoned arrows. He explains how he faked being poisoned to gain their trust, offering to be Wang Yu's inside man. One of Wang Yu's teammates watches the betrayal unfold, clearly unsettled by the sudden turn of events. Wang Yu takes the empty potion bottle, unimpressed by the man's groveling plea to be spared. The follower eagerly points out the exact location of Xingyun's camp, sealing his former team's fate. His subordinates look to him for the order to attack, ready to move in on their rivals. But Wang Yu has a more sinister plan, deciding to let their trap spring just so he can watch their hope crumble. Later that night, Shengyun stands guard while the rest of his team sleeps, unaware of the approaching danger. His enhanced senses suddenly flare, his eyes snapping open as he detects an unseen presence. He springs to his feet in an instant, moving to intercept the hidden threat before it can strike. With a sharp cry, he moves to intercept the intruder before they can reach his sleeping teammates. He tackles the ambusher to the ground, only to find it's one of Wang Yu's female subordinates. The woman looks up in fear, insisting she's come alone, and means them no harm. Shengyun remains wary, demanding to know the true reason for her sudden appearance. The commotion wakes Zhengjing, who watches the tense standoff with a guarded expression. The woman drops a bombshell, revealing their cowardly follower has betrayed them to Wang Yu. Shengyun's gaze hardens as he questions her motives for revealing such a critical piece of information. She desperately confesses her true motive, revealing she knows they have the antidote and is willing to do anything to survive.